Be here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Friday, February 28th, 325, this last trading session of February. Talk about the market, some names I'm looking at, go from there. But interesting session to say the least. Markets opened higher like they've been doing. The SPY was, where did we open at? Yeah, 586 and change. And then right off the bat, just all the way down to lows. By 9:35, the SPY was down to 583. And then it's started to bounce a little bit, and then some weakness in the afternoon again, down to lows by 1 o'clock, and then we've staged a $6 reversal here on the SPY. So frustrating in a sense. I was hoping for one of those, I wouldn't call it capitulation days, but a big sell-off at the open, hit lows, and then a reversal day where we go red to green solidly and just ramp for the rest of the day. And that wasn't it. It was, I wouldn't say it was the opposite of that, but the early afternoon pullback gave me a little pause there. So we'll see how things play out. Some of the things that you're seeing today. First, PCE data, inflation data is what the lowest in 7 months or whatever. So I didn't think the PCE data today was going to be that much of a big deal, unless obviously if it was substantially higher than expectations. But take a look, so back, I don't know how long ago, it used to be a data piece I'd look at a lot. And, I'm a big GDP is it's a backward looking indicator, right? It's the last 3 months of economic output, but that's, by the time we get the data, that's old news, right? So, so I'm not saying I don't look at GDP. Obviously, if we have back-to-back quarters of negative GDP, which I guess technically, since the last time it happened, it's not technically a recession anymore, right? They decide that it wasn't recession before it happened. I forget what year that happened, 2020, somewhere in there, where we had back-to-back negative GDP reads, and by all accounts, it was always the start of meant, hey, we're in recession, and they just removed that definition. But anyway, take a look at this, the Atlanta GDP, similar to like the CME Fed tool, where you get the probability of the Fed cutting rates, what that looks like. This is the forecast for GDP numbers, and it went negative. From 2% all the way down to, I think it's negative 1.5% for this current quarter. So I have interesting stuff. The quarter's not over, so who knows what that, if that's the job cut, whatever it is. But interesting data piece. Take it as you will. All the other economic data has been sound outside of the consumer confidence, right? So you're just little things you're looking at as the day was going. I'm like, oh, that's certainly interesting. But needless to say, market found footing. I hate to, I was saying it this morning. I pulled out my chart, and these are annotations I have over months and years. But the SPY came all the way down to my support level, and that's where it found support and bounce. So that's going to be key here. 582.44. I think it was 582.49. I have my chart either way. So that looks like a key spot there for the SPY. We held that, and then you had the shenanigans with Ukraine and U.S. Crazy to watch that. I'm not going to really make a comment. I just posted on FinTwit because it reminded me of one of the reality TV series. And then I get a slew of messages and stuff in regards to political slants on it. And I'm like, this is why I try not to talk too much political on stuff, because it just opens a can of worms that don't need to be open, right? All right, so that's the overall market. I'm trying to think what else I was going to say, but yeah, oh, all right, sorry, folks. Hang on one second. But again, another day of yields rising. TLT's up near 92. The VIX, and when we're hitting lows, the VIX was up near 22 and change in the morning, but not so as much as you would think. And I remember back in September, and we had the worries of the election, all that. The VIX was elevated in the 20s for that entire month, pretty much. And it's like it moved more back then than it does now, and now we're actually having like substantial moves on the SPY. So, back in September we were over 20 for like 3 weeks. In October we were over 20 on the VIX in 3 weeks, and that's with the market trading near high levels. So, anyway, last but not least, small caps pretty much decent all day here, and would like to see a 215 over on the IWM. It's a 213 and change. So, all things, because it's just kind of a frustrating session because not that I would want it to go in one direction, but those sometimes, especially on option expiration Friday, some of those can be the best days when we have those reversals. But all right, so that's overall names. Individual, uh, Lemonade sitting here just slightly in the green. Just want to see it close over that 50-day moving average 35.58. Looked like it was going to squeeze out of the open. I think it all the way up to 37 to go 36.80. Did it hit 39 this morning? Where was I? Did I have the wrong day. Why am I looking? I'm looking at yesterday. Yeah, 36.75 or so. Sorry about that, folks. Uh, I'm just going to continue to hold my strikes. Lock most of the 40s in. Just have the lock some of the 45s in as well. But I mean, considering it's still green here, you have to think that there's probably going to be continuation next week. And the longer it stays up here, the higher the odds of some continuation on possible squeezes. So the calls is still solidly green. I'll continue to hold that. And then on the flip side with the puts today. So, I put on the watch list this morning. I was worried about, not worried, but a drop and a reversal. So that's kind of what I was playing for. So Broadcom kind of opened flat. What did it open at? It opened at 195.76, and then boom, it just dipped all the way down to 193.15. I locked some more of my 195s in for almost 10 bags. It was close. Unfortunately, I locked my 200s in yesterday. But I took some of those off at $3 from 36 cents. And then as we were starting to bounce, took the rest off at $2. And then I went and flipped around and I got some inexpensive spec calls. I mean, the 205s were 17 cents. I think the stock was like 196. I'm like, that seems like a decent risk reward, considering the stock was 217 just yesterday, right? I'm not saying it's going 217, but if we do bounce and it's substantial, I thought that offered a decent risk reward. And also figured, and I was looking for other ways to play for a bounce, and Arista Networks the calls look insanely cheap on a risk war basis. The 94s, I think, was trading 92 to 94s. They were like 10 by 20. I got some at 15 cents. And then by 11 o'clock, Broadcom was over. I think it was 201. My calls were over a double, and it was sitting there for about 10 minutes at a double. In my head, I'm like, I think it's going higher. Should have locked some in. Sure enough, we get a pull, and then that was that on the Broadcom Broadcom calls. Same with Arista, all the way over 93, and then at 11 o'clock, it went from 93 to 92 in a matter of like 6 minutes. So unfortunately, those didn't pan out. Inexpensive ones, it's lottos. I could do that 9 times, and on the 10th one, it'll pay off and more than offset the losses and then some. And then the other one was MicroStrategy. So Strategy finally nibbled some puts towards the afternoon. Once we had the shenanigans going on, you saw Bitcoin was dipping a little bit, and it's had histories of moving over the last Fridays to the downside. We'll see what the pull is here today. It's 333. MicroStrategy is at 250, 278. I again, similar situation. We had the pull in the afternoon. Market was hitting lows, and MicroStrategy's hitting 240. I think it hit 245 and change. I'm trying to get some of my puts out for a double, and they passed me by, got whacked, and then that was it. So what are you going to do? It's kind of frustrating day on those names, but Monday's another day. And in regards to getting positions into next week, I'm just gonna be cautious. One hand, I'm like, wow, we're on kind of fragile ground. Take a look at the markets. I mean, the S&P right now, I think it's going to be up for the year if we close right now. Let's see if I have it up here. Do I have it up here? So year to date right now, the S&P is up 0.4%. So that's pretty remarkable. It was down 0.25% at the lows today. You look at the Dow. The Dow's up only almost 2 points. It's the market leader right now. So interesting stuff. We'll see how we close here, but all things considered, it's not bad. But there's going to be a lot of chatter. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of chatter around the U.S. and Ukraine. What does that mean? Not only for that, the whole tariff situation, is that going to blow up? So to me, it just doesn't make sense to get anything too crazy and hold into the weekend. I'll wait till Monday. And then the other names, TripAdvisor, I have the April strikes and the June strikes. I'm still bullish on that name. I mean, unfortunately, the market hasn't agreed with me. I mean, it was down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions in a row post earnings. Finally in the green here today. Maybe it's the start of something. I kept talking about TravelZero after its earnings. The stock got destroyed, and it was already down from its 25 highs in a matter of less than a month. Right, start of February, TravelZero is a $25 stock. It had earnings. It's down to $14, and the earnings weren't that great. But it's not, to me. I was I'm bullish Travelzoo, but not because of its earnings for this quarter, but because of the future growth with their new membership tier and things like that. So, unfortunately, I missed a bounce here, but definitely a name I'll continue to watch. Uh, I'm trying to see some of these other names here. I was possibly looking to get some V puts into next week, but here it is bouncing again. Looked like it was going to be weak in the afternoon, and then the magical hand comes in. It's like this one's so stubborn. It's it's going to fall. It's just I'm not going to be in it when it happens, which will be even more frustrating. I think that's it. Some other names here. I don't know. I have all my stuff up here. Well, I think that's it, folks. Yes, have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Have a great weekend. Rock and roll.